Hey guys, Tomboy601, and today we have the Capstone legendary ship for this update, the one that's going to cost you the big bucks in order to get the R Lauria, an all new Italian SAP battleship that has a couple of interesting quirks and things that we're going to go over today. So, if you like what you see, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's just go ahead and dive on in. And first off, let's go ahead and talk Commander. We're running Angela Iacchino. He's a very good free commander, which is the important bit here. I think he is by far the better choice than Azerlane Latorio. We are running Palo di Revel in Colorado. If you don't have Colorado, I would just choose, something that's going to help you with your reload time, or something that's going to help you a little bit with maybe a little bit of extra health, something in there, or even concealment. All of those would be helpful to use on this vessel. Base trait, go away. Then we are running Flammable Cannoneer, Gyrating Drill Bits, Marksmanship, Iron Resolve, and Testudo. That's kind of the build we are going with. As far as the mod slots go, we are running Aiming System Mod 1, then Steering Gears, though Prop Mod could also easily go in there, the Concealment Mod, and then finally Main Battery Mod 3. Let's go ahead and dive in the stats and we can talk about the couple of weird things going on with this ship. So, survivability, 79,200 hit points with an armor thickness between 19 and 457 millimeters. And you will notice this is a very well armored ship, 32 millimeters of armor pretty much everywhere. A very decent side plate right there with up to 50 millimeters, and then around the citadel a much thicker bit. And you'll also notice that the freeboard of the ship is very, very low. There is a lot of armor stacked here, and this is a ship that has a very small amount of superstructure to farm. Those are all good things, but as I take away the armor everywhere else, you're gonna see the big issue with this ship, and that is the massive citadel that is just sitting out of the water. And one where if you turn sideways, this ship almost feels Russian in its ability to just take massive hits if you end up positioning yourself in the improper way. Torpedo damage reduction is 39%. Then we move on to the artillery, the guns. And these are some special guns, 4 two-barreled 457 millimeter guns. So it joins the pantheon of big guns, not quite Yamato sized, but Vermont and Ohio sized. And then we get a firing range of 18.9 kilometers, reload time of 22.9 seconds, a 180 time of 28.6 seconds. Then the AP damage, 16,092. And then the surprise, the je ne sais quoi of this vessel, the SAP, 16,600 damage. This SAP is going to pen 114 millimeters of armor, and they're going to guaranteed hit at 70 degrees and a potential of a hit at 80%. So that's one thing. There are a couple of other things we should probably talk about as well. First off, the guns, 1.9 Sigma with battlecruiser dispersion, which is very, very good. Oh, I guess I've totally forgot that we should talk about the consumables. So we have damage control party. That's nice. We have repair party, which is a Verity improved repair party. 4 charges of it. Very nice. And then a special seaplane that does 15% overall. I've been running enhanced secondary targeting just because it's what kind of felt a bit better to me, as far as just an oh shit button when a destroyer gets too close. But this is not a battle cruiser that you're going to want to build into secondaries, because if you look, the base range is only 5.2 kilometers, which, while they are SAP secondaries, you're not going to get them out very far, and they reload every 10.7 seconds, which is not that great. The other weakness of this vessel is going to be the AA, only a 4 kilometer max range, and if you look at those damage numbers, it ain't great. So expect to, if you do end up running up against a carrier in legendary tier, be prepared to take some pain because it may not turn out too well for you. Maneuverability of the vessel, you're looking at 32.6 knots with a turning radius of 1,000 meters and a rudder shift time of 14.5 seconds. Finally, moving on to concealment, 13.4 kilometer detectability by sea, 11.2 by air, and 15.5 when firing in smoke. Not going to be firing in smoke very often, given we don't even have a smoke consumable with this ship. So that's all the stats. Let's go ahead and dive on in to a game with her. So welcome to Estuary. And I guess first things first, let's talk about how much this ship is going to cost you, because it is frankly a ridiculous sum of money, assuming you do everything you can to get every single free cyber cent. This ship will cost you 17,000 cyber cents, and you can get 10,500 of that through doing weeklies and stuff, and assuming that you buy the Admiralty backing. But after that, you need to buy the rest of those cyber cents with bundles, and it's going to end up costing you about $140, $150 to do so. So the ship that you see today is not cheap, and it I think it's a decent ship. It won't be a ship that I play probably ever again. I understand why people like it, and you'll see why people I think are going to enjoy it. 457 millimeter guns of SAP, that pen 114 millimeters of armor, is an incredibly compelling ship, an incredibly compelling stat, but I find myself not having fun in this ship. It's fine. You get a great hit of dopamine every single time you slap a ship with SAP, but if I'm gonna play a legendary tier battleship, I think I'd prefer to play like Ohio, if I'm being honest. This one doesn't do it for me. I do have to say it is refreshing and nice to get a accuracy built Italian battleship, since we don't really have that in this game at the moment. So it is that is a nice thing to feel, but I'm still just not finding myself having the most fun as we take 10,000 out of that main. The key thing when you have these SAP ships is making sure that you get to places where the SAP can be effective at all. You see, we're finally off angle enough from this Michelangelo, and yeah, we can absolutely slap him. Like, that is a huge slap to a Michelangelo. But if this Michelangelo bows in to us, we're not going to have the pen angles to do any damage to him, and that's always where I come back to on these SAP ships, on SAP ships, is if you have a team that is competent, that understands the sort of damage that you can ultimately end up doing to them, they're just going to angle into you, and your effectiveness as a ship goes down by an incredible amount when you play competent teams, or teams that understand what they are doing, which is why I'm never a huge fan of these SAP ships, even though, you see that in 2 salvos, we took out half of that Michelangelo's health, or more than half of that Michelangelo's health. You could argue, if I had AP, maybe I would have gotten more damage out of him. True. But I think overall, the SAP on this ship is a monster. It's what you're going to be firing out of those 8 guns. And I guess we should talk about those 8 guns. As we mentioned, we have battlecruiser dispersion. We have fairly accurate guns, but the other part of it is that, well, it's only 8 guns. And even when you have that, there'll be times where the shells go wonky and you'll only get a couple of hits. That's kind of what you come to expect, especially when you are playing battleships. So it is a bit of a give and take. So I guess we should also talk about the other features on this boat. As I mentioned earlier, you do have a great heal. The heal that you get will heal about a quarter of your health back, which is a good chunk. We've already used one of the heals here, and that keeps this ship alive. You do need to be worried though about about the citadel of this vessel, and there's times where like this ship feels more Russian than it does Italian. I know that sounds crazy because you're firing SAP, but the amount of damage you take on a citadel hit, and just how easy this ship can be to citadel, makes you feel like you're visiting Moscow sometimes, and you may just be a bit Russian. And that's kind of the give and take when this is supposedly an Italian battle cruiser, which once again wild with the size of the guns on this ship. Speaking of the guns, we'll go back to it. We flipped over to AP here, just because I didn't know what that Yamato was doing, and also Schlieffen looked like he was going to come in at a 90-degree angle, so I wanted to try and use some of this AP to see if we could get a couple of cheeky citadels in, or a couple of big damage. The AP is nothing to laugh at. It's definitely a shell that I feel like you won't be firing very often out of the gun of this ship. I find myself using it very sparingly in either one of two scenarios. One, a flat broadside ship that I know that I want to try and hit the citadel of, or B, when a ship is flat nose in, that's when shooting into the superstructure is a bit easier, it feels like, with that AP. Anyways, we go ahead, finish off the Schlieffen, bringing us up to 116,000, and we very much cleared this side as the two remaining ships have started to flee towards the rest of their fleet, and our team is doing fairly well, mainly because of map control. We're up on a couple of ships, and I'd be surprised if we don't start losing some over on the other side. But as far as us over here, we're doing fairly well. Now, as far as what we're going to do for this rest of the game, it's mainly going to be chase down the enemy and see what other damage we can go ahead and extract out of them using this SAP. And while we do that, I guess I will once again go back and talk about the price of this ship, because I talk about this in my guide on the whole event overall and breaking down the cost, and we have a whole video on that if you want to go check it out. But to reiterate, this year the event seems to be particularly more expensive, particularly more predatory, or particularly just overall a worse value for the players of this game, which just feels a bit odd. They've done a lot this year to introduce additional monetization into the game, and for us to get to the end of the year, and for them to have increased the price on compared to last year on to get the new ship, the legendary ship, is very surprising to me. I don't know if it's because in the back room, the monetization team with the abacus was like, well, last year you had an American ship, and we know that the American ships are the ones that sell the most, so because of that, we don't need to set the price as high in order to get people to purchase it. That's always one of those things where, trust me when I say, every single price you make on any sort of large business gets run through a team or a person who is doing sales analysis, who is saying how many people are going to buy it at this price. And I guess this year the calculation said in order to hit their target, they needed people to spend $100 and something in order to obtain this ship. And I guess a couple more big hits come here. First off, 2 shells on the Vermont with its light armor everywhere. Oh god, once again, that is the one good thing about this ship, is the hits that you get to watch, the dopamine hit when an SAP shell just connects and tears up any other ship. Des Moines going broadside here, and well, see if we can land a couple of shells on him. But the monetization for this just seems a bit outlandish. Like I said, I won't be playing this ship pretty much after this review. It's fine, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'd prefer to play other ships, and maybe you'd prefer to play it, and that's totally up to you. But like I said, I certainly won't be purchasing it. But anyways, guys, as we wind down here, what do you guys think of Lauria? Will you be picking it up? Will you be purchasing it, or is it one that you can just look at as some other people go in and purchase it that you won't be staring longingly at in the coming years? Anyways, there's the high cal. Guys, if you like videos like this, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.